Soon, Wukong walked into the Chinese underworld, found the records of mortal souls, located his own name, and deleted it. Name, lifespan, cause of death, gone. Then he crossed out his entire retinue for good measure. The 10 kings of hell filed a formal complaint. The Jade Emperor had no procedural response because no one had ever deleted themselves from existence before. That is what this video is. 12 forbidden paths, 5 tiers of escalating power, 12 upgrades attempted against the system of death, and the exact price each one demands in return. Death is a system. These are the exploits. Every upgrade has a corruption cost. Many civilizations that stared into the void eventually produced the same cheat sheet. The Norse found a supply chain. The Greeks found a chemistry. The Taoists built a laboratory. The Slavs invented a hiding place. The Egyptians hired a lawyer. None of them got away clean. Tier 1. The Consumables. Ethan's golden apples. The gods of Asgard were not born eternal, they were maintained. Ethan kept a locked chest of golden apples, and every god consumed them regularly to stop aging cold. Without them, Odin went gray, Thor's grip weakened. When the frost giant Thjazi kidnapped Ethan, Asgard's greatest warriors began visibly deteriorating within days. This is not a myth about magic fruit, it is a catastrophic supply chain failure. The moment the gods discovered their immortality ran on a subscription model. You are only as immortal as your next delivery. One missed shipment and divinity starts unwinding. There is no cancel option, only dependency forever. Greek ambrosia and ichor. Ambrosia did not slow aging, it replaced the mechanism of aging entirely. The gods did not bleed blood, they bled ichor, a luminous golden fluid ancient texts describe as divine substance in liquid form. When Ares was wounded at Troy in Homer's Iliad, what poured into the dirt was not blood. It was divinity itself, leaking out. You become a different species, permanently. The gods of Olympus could love mortals, but never with the full weight of someone who could also lose everything. Once paid, that vulnerability cannot be reclaimed. Cinnabar, Dawn, Pills. The Taoist golden pill, the Dawn, was built around cinnabar, known as Ju Sha, a blood-red mercuric mineral identified as the perfect fusion of fire and earth. The refinement process mimicked human gestation, compressing 9 months of soul seeding into days of sustained alchemical heat. Taoist alchemical tradition treated the result not as medicine, but as an artificial vessel of life force, a manufactured object carrying vitality beyond what the natural world produces unaided. Multiple emperors who consumed improperly refined cinnabar pills, including the Ming Emperor Jia Jing, who took them for decades, did not achieve immortality. They achieved mercury poisoning. The upgrade and the cause of death were the same object. Tier 2. The Forbidden Flesh. Ningyo mermaid flesh. Eating the flesh of a ningyo, the deep ocean fish person of Japanese tradition, does not upgrade the body. It overrides the body's shutdown sequence entirely. Yao Bikuni consumed ningyo flesh and lived, according to tradition, for 800 years, unchanged, unaging, untouchable by time. She watched every person she loved deteriorate and return to the earth. Coastlines shifted, languages changed, mountains were renamed by people who had no memory of what they were previously called. You do not conquer death. You outlive everyone who made life worth the trouble, and then you keep going anyway. Dragon blood. When Sigurd, later known in Germanic tradition as Siegfried, slew the dragon Fafnir and bathed in its blood, centuries of accumulated draconic vitality transferred through his skin at once. Blades registered no damage. Fire registered no damage. His body was reclassified, moved into a tier that conventional combat could not access. A single linden leaf fell on Siegfried's back during the bath, leaving one spot unprotected, the size of a coin on an otherwise impenetrable body. Dragon blood gives you everything. It also hands your enemies a target the size of a coin and the certainty that it exists. Peaches of the Queen Mother of the West. In the heavenly orchards of Si Warngmu, the Queen Mother of the West, 3 varieties of peach grow on cycles measured in thousands of years. The weakest grants 300 additional years. The most powerful grants full immortality outright. Soon Wukong, already deleted from the death registry and appointed guardian of these orchards, consumed an undisclosed quantity of all three varieties before anyone noticed. He had beaten death administratively. Then, he stacked a biological upgrade on top. The peaches work. Taking them uninvited starts a war with every force heaven has ever commissioned, simultaneously. Tier 3. The Soul Anchors. Koshchei's Needle. Koshchei the Deathless relocated his death. The killable core of his existence was placed inside a needle, inside an egg, inside a duck, inside a hare, inside an iron chest, buried beneath an oak tree on an island with no name. His body became an empty construct. Stab it, burn it, drown it. None of it registered as fatal. The part of him that could die was locked inside a security system requiring a hero's entire quest to reach. Koshchei spent eternity as a security guard stationed permanently outside his own soul, every moment underwritten by one fear that someone, somewhere, had just found the right island. The Egyptian Heart Scarab. In the Hall of Two Truths, the heart was weighed against the feather of Ma'at. A heavy heart was consumed by Ammit the Devourer. Permanent destruction, no appeal. The heart scarab was a carved amulet placed over the heart during burial, inscribed with a direct instruction from chapter 30 of the Book of the Dead: "Do not testify against me before the divine judges." Picture it. Ordinary Egyptians going to their graves with legal instructions physically sealed inside their own chests, pre-written arguments, ready for a divine court they would enter alone. It did not cleanse the soul. It legally silenced the prosecution's primary witness before the trial began. The evidence travels into eternity with you, suppressed, intact, unresolved. The scarab wins the case. It does not settle what the case was about. The Cauldron of Rebirth. The Pyre Dadani, the Cauldron of Rebirth from the Welsh Mabinogion, had one function. Warriors placed inside overnight emerged by morning fully restored and combat ready. Picture an entire battlefield of fallen soldiers fed into the cauldron at dusk and marching back to the front line by dawn, silent and unstoppable. Every casualty was a temporary inventory reduction, not a permanent loss. Any army holding the cauldron was, in practical terms, inexhaustible. The restored warriors emerged permanently mute. The cauldron returned the body with complete physical integrity. It did not guarantee the person came back inside it. Tier 4. The System Exploits. The Ledger of Life and Death. The Cosmic Death Registry in DUE contains the recorded terminus of mortal souls. Soon, Wukong found his entry, struck it out, and struck out his entire retinue in the same session. He did not defeat death in combat. He converted his own biological certainty into an administrative error, a file the system could no longer locate, process, or execute. The Jade Emperor offered Sun Wukong a position in heaven, not as a reward, but as containment. The exploit functions, but the universe responds to being hacked the way every large institution does. By promoting the threat somewhere it can be monitored. Sisyphus's handcuffs. When Thanatos, the embodied god of death, arrived in Ephyra to collect Sisyphus, Sisyphus redirected the conversation toward the divine restraints Thanatos carried. He expressed admiration. He asked for a demonstration. Thanatos complied. Sisyphus locked the cuffs. With death itself imprisoned in a basement, no one on earth could die. Soldiers fell in battle and stood back up. Ares complained to Zeus that his wars had become meaningless. The machinery of mortal existence ceased completely because its terminal function had been physically removed. Sisyphus was retrieved. His eternity became the boulder, the hill, and the permanent reset, a punishment the universe designed specifically for the man who had handcuffed its enforcement mechanism. The sentence was not generic, it was personal. The spells of deception. The negative confession, delivered before 42 divine judges in the Hall of Two Truths, required the soul to declare, "I have not stolen, I have not killed, I have not spoken falsehood." This was not a moral accounting. It was a legal performance, a clause-by-clause recitation assembled in advance by professional scribes who had studied the court's procedural architecture for generations. The soul was not confessing. It was filing a pre-prepared legal brief. Completing this process has been accurately compared, and this is stated with complete seriousness, to canceling a gym membership during the introductory freeze period. there is always one more clause. A soul that enters eternity through procedural deception carries everything it recited around, unresolved and intact. The truth does not dissolve because a judge failed to find it. Every upgrade so far has been a negotiation. Hide the soul, forge the paperwork, hack the registry, handcuff the officer, but every one of those methods leaves the self intact, the same person, just harder to kill. Tier 5 is different. Tier 5 does not protect what you are. It ends what you are and replaces it with something the universe has no jurisdiction over. Tier 5, the Great Work. This is the S tier, not a workaround, not a hiding place, not a legal strategy, a permanent reclassification of what you are. The Western Path, the Philosopher's Stone. Alchemical tradition attributes the completion of the Great Work to Nicolas Flamel, a 14th century Parisian manuscript dealer whose property records still survive in French archives. Later legends claim he and his wife Perenelle achieved physical immortality and were cited alive in centuries that followed. Whether those accounts describe genuine achievement or layers of spiritual allegory added over time, the principle they encode is consistent. The stone does not cure death. It changes what you are at the level of fundamental being. The Eastern Path, Jalu, the Rainbow Body of Tibetan tradition. A fully realized master does not die. The body dissolves into light. Tibetan tradition records masters whose physical forms reduced over several days to nothing but hair and nails, the only substances identified as already beyond the reach of the vital force being released. The rainbow body is not an escape from death. It is a data transfer, consciousness fully refined, uploading to a higher plane, abandoning the physical vessel the way a signal abandons a transmitter that can no longer carry it. The corruption cost of Tier 5 is the self. The stone requires total dissolution before reconstruction. The rainbow body requires the body's complete surrender. Every tier in this compendium extracted something. Tier 1 took your independence. Tier 2 took everyone you loved. Tier 3 took your peace. Tier 4 took your identity. Tier 5 takes what remains. By the final tier, immortality is no longer about surviving death. It is about surviving the destruction of yourself. The universe does not object to you seeking eternity. It objects to you arriving there unchanged. Every tradition here that reached beyond its appointed end left behind the same wreckage. Identities dissolved, relationships consumed, and selves so thoroughly transformed by the price of eternity that whatever arrived on the other side bore no resemblance to what began the search. The soul is not a possession you carry into immortality. It is the admission price the universe collects at every gate, without negotiation, without exception, and without refund. If this compendium is the kind of knowledge you return to, subscribe to the Mythic Sun. The archive continues, and what comes next runs deeper.